Welcome back to tier listing heritage units. We are halfway through this video, so this is part 2. For those of you who have yet to see part 1, I highly recommend that you go watch that first because it goes through railroads that are not present in this video, as well as the rules of this video. So, without further ado, for those of you who are ready, let's keep on going. Starting this half of the video with Metro North, we have engine number 201, the Conrail heritage unit, and really, yellow on Conrail. Like this, I get that Conrail had some FL9s and E units in this scheme, but at the same time, Conrail yellow does not fit at all. I get that it might be there for safety reasons, as well as just kind of recreating the old scheme, but I don't like this one at all. I'm gonna have to put this one into the C tier because at least the blue looks really nice. Next up is engine 208, in a scheme that's colloquially known as the beach ball scheme, with silver on top, blue in the middle, and red with white accents on the bottom. And this is, in my opinion, one of the better commuter railroad schemes that have come out of the New York City area. It looks really great on EMDs, but on the Genesis, not so much, but it's still a B tier scheme. And next up is 211, the New York Central, and y'all, Metro North cooked with this one. This is a very close contender to Metra 211, which is also in an absolutely awesome scheme. So, without a doubt, this one's going up into the S tier, a very close second. However, like 201, 217, which is the Penn Central heritage unit, suffers from a big yellow blotch on the front of the locomotive, and the yellow lining on the bottom doesn't even line up. I'm still going to put this in the C tier, but this is very close to the bottom of the tier. And on the New Haven line, there are a handful of Genesis engines in the New Haven Railroad scheme. Technically, this is continuing on the MTA system, but it's still definitely a throwback to the New Haven McGinnis scheme, and for that, it counts for this video. And it's a B tier scheme, nothing too flashy, but it looks really good. From one northeastern commuter railroad to another, next up we have NJT, starting off with engine 4101, commemorating the NJ. Bluebird scheme. And for crying out loud, they even gave the engine an S3L horn, just like the old days. However, the scheme does look really basic, there's no lettering, but look, I'm not going to be mad at it if I see this. This is a B tier scheme as well. Another engine of the same model is 4109, painted in the navy blue Central New Jersey scheme. For the simplicity of the scheme, just like I said before in the Amtrak video, it can be absolutely beautiful. And this looks wicked awesome, even on a modern railroad, where a lot of schemes are a lot more complex. This one's an A tier scheme, and no one is going to question that, I think. If Metro North cooked with their NYC heritage unit, then NJT did it with their Erie heritage unit, number 4210. The wings on the front with the little pillar is a unique take on the scheme that I have yet to see. And again, this just looks really good on a modern locomotive. This one is going to be an S tier scheme. NJT also has 3 electric heritage units, the first of which is an Alp 45, number 4519, and the Erie Lackawanna scheme. I love the EL scheme, and really the DL scheme as well, but come on, this looks really nice on this engine. This is another A tier scheme. However, if there's one scheme that looks good on literally everything, it's the Pensy scheme. And 4636 dons it perfectly with that dark brownish maroon and the yellow whisker stripes and of course that lovely Keystone logo. This one is another S tier scheme. And look, there are so many S tier schemes that are so close to the top, it just goes to show how well some of these heritage units are done. 4640, however, is a heritage unit that I think really slips under the radar. This is more of a throwback scheme, but it does count as a heritage unit. And look, the original LP46 scheme looks better, but this still looks pretty solid on this locomotive. I'm willing to give it a B tier rating. And next up is Norfolk Southern with a whopping 21 heritage units. Just like CSX's, I'm going to do this one in a lightning round because, come on, there's just so many of them. So, here we go again. 1065, Savannah and Atlanta, B tier scheme. It looks kinda nice. 1066 New York Central, S tier. I love the NYC scheme. 1067 Reading Line, C tier. Not the best, but okay. 1068 Erie, A tier. Love the wings. 1069 Virginian, B tier. Simple, but looks great. 1070 Wabash, A tier. I love the dark blue. 1071 C&J, S tier. An underrated masterpiece. 1072 looks nice, but the Illinois Terminal is a C tier. 1073 Penn Central, A tier scheme. Rodney Kontorsky would be proud. 1074 B tier. Lackawanna is an okay scheme. 1700 S tier. Really forgotten, but awesome. 8025 Monongahela, B tier. Simple but nice. 8098 Conrail, S tier. I mean, come on, it's Conrail, y'all. 8099 Southern Railway, S tier. Another obvious pick. 8100 Nickel Plate Road, B tier. Simple but looks nice. 8101 S tier. Central of Georgia is just awesome. 8102 Pennsylvania. Again, it looks awesome. S tier. 8103 Norfolk and Western, C tier. Nice blue but kind of basic. 8104 Lehigh Valley. The original scheme gets an E tier, but the modern one is much more deserving of something closer to an A tier. 8105 Interstate Railroad, C tier. Nice color choice but weird. 8114 Original Norfolk Southern, B tier. Complex but nice. Okay, y'all, I promise there are not going to be any more lightning rounds in this video, so from here on out we can talk about every heritage unit individually. Let's keep on going. Pan Am Railways actually has a heritage unit. Specifically, MEC number 507 is painted in the colors of the Guilford rail system. I love this scheme, y'all. Another underrated masterpiece of a scheme. Another S tier. And interestingly, SEPTA actually has 4 Silverliner 4s that are painted in predecessor schemes. Now, do they look good? Yeah, I don't think I have to say anything else. But now, coming up, we have 6 of the heaviest hitters in all of the railroad world. Union Pacific actually started the heritage unit trend, but they went for something way different than other railroads. Instead of just recreating a predecessor railroad scheme, Union Pacific modernized them, which created a unique look for all 6 of their heritage units, which are both inspired by and are an evolution of the predecessor railroad schemes. I'm really excited for this, so let's go. First off is Union Pacific 1982, the Missouri Pacific, taking the Screaming Eagle wings scheme, merging them together. Like, this is the perfect amalgamation of both of Mopac's legendary schemes. This is going to be a common theme with Union Pacific's heritage units, but they just look wicked awesome and unlike any of the railroads that they were inspired by, but this one is still an S-tier scheme. And next up is another Pacific, the Western Pacific, once again taking multiple schemes and merging them into one, with a bluish-gray back, a dark green front, and bright orange accents all around the locomotive. This one has long been one of my favorite Union Pacific heritage units, but over time, I haven't really liked it as much as I used to, so unfortunately, I'm gonna have to downgrade it to A tier. And just like the Western Pacific, 1988, the Missouri-Kansas-Texas heritage unit, it's just kind of fallen out of my favor. I've always loved the red and maroon and the white star on the front, and it used to be my favorite Union Pacific heritage unit for a long time, but it just doesn't hit as hard as it used to. It's gonna join the Western Pacific in A tier. UP's stylization of the Denver and Rio Grande scheme came out to be what is currently my favorite Union Pacific heritage unit, with a bluish-gray base with black mountain shapes and yellowish-orange accents on the bottom, which fades into a base on the back. This one has a special place in my heart and always will have, so it's going to be an S-tier scheme. For 1995, the Chicago Northwestern, UP added some silver highlights and really pronounced the dark green stripe that was present on C&W's later GEs. This one also had a stint where it was my favorite heritage unit, but after the electrical problems, I figured I might as well have chosen another heritage unit in case this one got scrapped. Really thankful it didn't. It's still an S-tier scheme though. And to wrap up the Great Big Rollin' Railroad is 1996, the Southern Pacific, which obviously is an evolution of the famous Daylight scheme. And really, I don't have anything else to say. The scheme just works. This one is another definite pick for the S tier. And to wrap this video up, we'll head over to the Wheeling and Lake Erie. Engine 101 is commemorating the P&WV Railroad, which I've actually never really heard of. I don't know what the abbreviation stands for, but obviously it has some history that ties into the W and LE. However, the scheme, I'm gonna have to give it a C tier because just lettering just doesn't feel right for a heritage unit. And similarly, number 107 has more lettering, specifically for the AC and Y, the Akron, Canton, and Youngstown. But this scheme just looks a little bit better on a high hood, and by the way, it's the only high hood heritage unit. I feel like that's enough to upgrade it a little bit into the B tier. And for the final 4 engines on this list, 4 of W and LE's engines are in the Rio Grande scheme. This railroad went out of its way to preserve the Rio Grande scheme on 2 of its tunnel motors and 2 of its Jeeps. Like, that is just mind-blowing that a railroad would specifically do this to commemorate the inspiration for its scheme. And I feel like that's worthy to end off this video with an S tier. Well, we've done it. We've gone through every single active heritage unit on North American rails. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and the previous one if you've watched that as well. Again, just like the previous video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below any ideas that you might have for a future tier listing video. With that, Silver Thunder 710, catch you next time.